U.S. Navy sends third aircraft carrier to the Pacific. Is that an aircraft carrier in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Oh, it's an aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier USS Nimitz arrived in the Pacific on Tuesday, bringing the number of carriers to 3 now operating in the region. The carrier now joins the USS Ronald Reagan, which is stationed in Japan year-round, and the USS Theodore Roosevelt, which is currently far east of Japan. According to the Navy, the Nimitz just finished 3 months off in the Middle East battling ISIS, launching 1,322 sorties and dropping 903 pieces of ordnance. The Navy described the carrier's activities as standard and said that the Nimitz would only be in the region temporarily. Pyongyang hasn't launched a missile in over a month, however tensions still remain high in the region. Watch more before World War III breaks out. Seoul's monster missile to target the DPRK. South Korea has revealed plans to build a new missile to take on the North should war break out on the Korean peninsula. The South Korean military seeks to counter Pyongyang's growing weapons capabilities by developing the Hyungmoo-4, a surface-to-surface missile with an 800-kilometer range and a payload of up to 2 tons. It will be powerful enough to destroy the North's underground military facilities and command centers, and is set to be the final weapon to be mobilized in Seoul's 3-tier attack plan. The plan's first step involves launching a KT-SSM missile to strike North Korean artillery that have been camouflaged and embedded along the DMZ and on the coast of border islands. Hyungmoo-2 ballistic missiles will then be deployed to neutralize the enemy's nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction, and their delivery systems. The development of the Franken missile is part of Army efforts to establish a 5-pillar operational concept that can minimize civilian casualties and put an early end to armed conflict.
How would the U.S. military fight North Korea? As tensions continue to mount on the Korean peninsula with no side backing down, the U.S. has threatened a massive military response to any potential North Korean nuclear attack. But what would that look like? The U.S. would likely deploy large groups of its Navy and Air Force to Japan, Okinawa, and Guam to bolster military presence there. A Stratfor analyst told Business Insider that they'd also possibly maneuver submarines and ships closer to the north and target nuclear facilities through airstrikes. Helicopter-deployed buoys would listen for North Korean submarines, which could then be destroyed by more advanced American underwater craft. Experts reckon the U.S. would not invade, but rather defend South Korea as the North Korean army charges the border. This scenario would also see U.S. Special Forces parachuting into strategic locations around Pyongyang for surgical strikes. If, in the extremely unlikely scenario, North Korea strikes Guam or another U.S. territory or ally with a nuclear strike, the U.S. has the option to respond via land, sea, or air. Most agree that the resulting American retaliation would lay waste to Pyongyang and kill thousands, if not millions. Or, you know, Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump could just simply step into the octagon and see what happens.
What would a hydrogen bomb do to the Pacific Ocean? As the war of words between the United States and North Korea continues to escalate, Pyongyang hinted last week that it may test a hydrogen bomb in the Pacific Ocean. If a hydrogen bomb did hit the Pacific, it would detonate with a blinding flash while producing a massive mushroom cloud. The immediate fallout would depend on the height of detonation. The initial blast would instantly kill most fish and marine life in the blast area. The explosion would send radioactive particles flying through the air and into the water. Wind also has the potential to carry the particles hundreds of miles. The smoke created at the strike zone could potentially block out sunlight, hurting organisms that utilize photosynthesis. Radiation would lead to severe health problems for surrounding aquatic life. Humans could also be affected if radioactive fallout reaches land. Particles could contaminate air, water, and soil.
Japan, US, and South Korea show Kim who's boss. Morbidly obese North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un may have lost some weight down the toilet recently. Why? 4 American F-35Bs and 2 B-1B bombers, along with 4 Korean F-15s and 4 Japanese F-2s, flew in sequential military drills this week. South Korean and American aircraft dropped live munitions at the Pilsong training range in South Korea. According to the U.S. Pacific Command, the exercises were conducted in response to North Korea's missile launch over Japan on September 14th. The Japanese and American aircraft flew over waters near the southwest coast of Japan. Kim's Russian and Chinese comrades also ran joint naval exercises near the Russia-DPRK border, and word is they weren't for his benefit. Frenemies much?